It's great to be here. Your comments remind me of the standard disclaimer, which is this software is suitable for no purpose, or not suitable for any purpose, which I've seen many times in software. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about Jetenv, which is something I wrote. When it comes to deploying applications, configuration tends to be like a big hassle, partially because there's so many different places that you can configure things. And one of the solutions was runtime EXS, which allows you to put a lot of things in the environment, but it also means that you have to write a bunch of things which take things from the environment. So I thought, after a variety of fits and starts, using YAML files and other things, that I came up with a way to configure everything from the environment automatically. 2 lines of code in your runtime EXS, and you can configure any node in the application environment. So I'm not going to read the slide, because I'm sure you've probably read a little bit of it. But the basic idea is that we name environment variables like a path in the application environment tree. So if you think about a keyword list, from the application standpoint, it's like the application, and then there's the primary key, and then within that you can have more keys. It's basically a tree. So the idea is, oh, this is backwards. Okay. So I'll hide this. All right, so if you were going to use a regular configuration, right, it would look like this, okay? But if you do it from the environment, it looks like that. And what that means is, from an environment variable, you don't have to pre-configure anything. You can say, I want this node within the application environment to be this type. The S means it's a string. And there are all sorts of types involved. So you can do Booleans, integers, but there are also some special types. You can have JSON strings, which will get decoded into string maps, but you can also have Erlang terms. So that gives you an escape hatch to basically encode anything. And the great part about this is that when it comes to orchestration, i.e. deployment, you can look at the environment and you can see everything that has been configured for that thing that you've got deployed. So you end up with less special stuff configured in the config.exs. You don't have to pull configuration in arbitrarily from the environment and make up a bunch of variables, you know, like the database host name and the database password, because all of those things look like exactly what you would expect them to look like inside Elixir. So the environment gives you a, here's a more complicated, you know, one with a sub keyword list, yes. And you see they just string along. So you use this double underscore, because environment variables can only be letters, numbers, and underscore. That's it, that's all you get. That's what the POSIX standard allows. So the easy answer was to use 2 underscores essentially as a dot. The other thing about this is it's automatic, because all the environment variables that start with a specific prefix, which you can change, are automatically read in the runtime EXS, the one call there, so you don't have to pre-configure what you want to import in your runtime EXS file. So here's some more examples with JSON string, and let's see. These are all, there's more examples, so it's less than 5 minutes maybe. But you can, so here's the problem when you deal with maps. So application doesn't merge anything but keyword lists. So if you have a map, you have 2 maps, it won't merge those maps. So this doesn't do that either. So if you want a map that has atoms as keys, you have to use an Erlang term. But Erlang terms are relatively easy to write. And I have found that this doesn't come up that often. But it's there. And what your runtime EXS looks like is these 2 lines right here. So import config, jetenv, loadenv. And anything that's in the environment with the default prefix will just become application configuration. if you want to, if you have some config in your legacy runtime EXS, you can call loadenv and then runtime merge, and that will merge the existing config using the unpublished API, which is private for config. So I rewrote that part, but so if it changes, then I'll have to make some changes. And this is the QR link to the project, but you can find it as Jetenv on Hex.
Right, thank you.